and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing a tier list on all the companions in the Fallout series. So this is going to go from Fallout 1 to Fallout 4, including Fallout 2, Fallout 3, New Vegas, and the New Vegas expansion packs. So it's not going to have like tactics, it's not going to have Brotherhood of Steel or any of that stuff, it's going to just have the mainline games, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to start out with Fallout 1, and the first companion here is Ian. This is the most likely the first companion you're going to get. You find him in Shady Sands, and if you pay him either 100 caps or if you have high enough karma, he'll just join you. And he's pretty good. He uses handguns, and you can actually give him the really good like high-powered handgun later. You can also give him submachine gun. He may splash damage you or your other companions with that, though, so you got to be careful. But overall, as your first companion, I would say he's decent. I'm gonna put him in B tier. Next up, we have the second companion that I usually grab, which is Cassidy. No, Tico. I'm sorry. This is Tico. Cassidy's in Fallout 2. This is Tico the Desert Ranger. So he's actually a Desert Ranger. You find him in Junktown in the saloon, and if you've taken out Gizmo, the crime boss in Fallout 2, he'll join you once you talk to him, and he's pretty good. He uses rifles, so like shotgun. You can give him the burst shotgun. He's pretty good with it. He's a little bit better than Ian. I'm gonna put him in B tier as well, but he's a little bit better than Ian, but he's still B tier. The Fallout 1 companions, their only downside is they don't really level up or get better. Like, you can give them better weapons, but you can't really give them better armor and stuff like that, so they're not as good as some of the companions you can get down the line. Next up is Dogmeat, and this is the Fallout 1 version of Dogmeat. So you either, in Junktown, you either have to be wearing the leather jacket and he'll just join you, or you can give him some iguana bits or iguana on a stick and he'll join you. He is my favorite companion in the entire game. He does really good damage, and he's just really hard to keep alive, especially later in the game. He's really good. I'm going to put Dogmeat in A tier because I can't really justify putting Dogmeat anything lower than that. I wish he was easier to keep alive. And next up, we have Katjaa. Katjaa is a follower of the Apocalypse. You can grab her there. No. Yeah? Yeah. I think she's a follower of the Apocalypse. You grab her from their compound. So I think it's their compound. It's either them or the Blades. I can never remember. I always get them mixed up in Fallout 1. It's in the LA Boneyard, in the little area that's right north of it, not in the main settlement. I can't remember if that's followers of the Apocalypse or the Blades. I think it's Followers of the Apocalypse, but either way. She's kind of the weaker of the companions. She uses mostly melee weapons. You can give her like submachine gun and she'll be alright, but she's definitely the weaker one. You get her super late. I'm going to put her in C tier. She's still good. Like, all the companions for Fallout 1 are good. They're just not great. And short of being just bad, like, none of them are bad. They're just like, she'd be honestly B tier if we got her earlier. Alright, that's everybody from Fallout 1. Moving on to Fallout 2. So the first companion you typically get is Solik. He is really good if you give him like a super sledge. He's amazing, and you can upgrade their armor too. That's kind of what's good about the Fallout 2 companions, is they level up, and you can also improve give them better weapons and armor. So like, you can give the Fallout 1 companions better weapons, but not better armor, so they can die really easy. If you give the Fallout 2 companions like power armor and stuff like that, they're gonna last a long time. And if you give them really good weapons, they're gonna hit pretty hard. So Solik is the first one you get. You get him in Klamath, and you have to either rescue Smiley the Trapper or pay off his debt. Either way, he's pretty good. He's one of the companions I usually keep for the entire game. He's going to go A tier. He's a really good, solid companion you can get early on, and as long as you upgrade his gear, he'll be really good into the end game. Next up is Vic. Vic you pick up in the Den. He is not that great. He's good at repairing things, but combat, he's really not great. You get him by either massacring the slavers in the Den or by paying off his debt with the slaver leader, Metzger. Either way, you can get him. He's okay. I'll use him for a little bit, usually until I get some of the better companions down the line. So I'm going to say he is going to be D tier. He's really not good at all. Like, if you give him good armor, he's alright, but he really only uses like light weapons and pistols, so he's going to be easily outshadowed by people later down the list. Next up is Cassidy. Cassidy is one of my favorite companions in the series. He's actually the father of Rose of Sharon Cassidy from Fallout New Vegas. He runs a bar in Vault City's outer town, and he'll join you if you just talk to him and you're nice to him. You just like can convince him to join you pretty easy. He's a rifleman. He'll use shotguns. You can give him a Gauss rifle later, and he'll tear things up with that. He's really good. I'm also going to put him in A tier with Sulik. These are two of the companions that I will pretty much have the entire game. Once I pick them up, I almost never replace them. I don't want to put none of the companions. I think from the first two games are going to be S tier, just because they're definitely the weaker. They're the two weaker games as far as companions go. Like the Fallout 2 companions are good, but I don't think they qualify for S tier. Next up, we have the Ghoul Lenny, and you get him in Gecko. And if you get your reputation up high enough in that town, he'll join you. He's decent. He's a doctor, so he's good with healing. But again, combat-wise, he's not that great. He is better than Vic, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put him in C tier. I think he's better than Katya. So I'm going to put Lenny C tier. He's still pretty good. I do use him for a while. I usually replace Vic with him. I typically, when running Fallout 2, will have enough room for 3 companions, so I'll usually keep Sulik and Cassidy, and then the third one will be a toss-up. Next up, we have I'm gonna lump these two together because they're basically the same character, just one's male and one's female. So next up we have Davin and Mira. Davin is the male, Mira is the female, and you pick them up in Modok. You can talk to them and sleep with them, and then you'll get caught by their father and forced to marry them. You can do either character no matter what gender your character is, so it doesn't matter if you're male or female. You can pick up either one, whichever you prefer. They're awful. They use like simple weapons like knives and stuff. You can give them better armor, but they're still not good, and you can't tell them to wait. Like one of the good things about the other companions is you can tell them to wait in places, and you can go off by yourself if you need to, like to avoid tripping alarms or traps, stuff like that. These two won't wait. You can't leave them behind. You can't do any of that stuff. Like with most of the companions, if you want to pick up like a new companion, you'll tell them to wait, and then they'll stay there, and you can come back whenever you want and swap companions. So I usually actually leave them all in Cassidy's bar. So like I'll collect them and then I'll leave them there, and then I'll just go there anytime I need to switch a companion out, and I can go there and swap them. These two cannot be removed that way. The only way to get rid of them, from my understanding, there's only 3 ways to do it. You can sell them to the slavers in the den if you didn't wipe them out. You can get a divorce. I don't remember where. I want to say it's also in Modok, and I don't remember how you do it, but I know you can get a divorce. Or you just have to kill them. They're the only 3 ways to get rid of them. These guys are awful. These are F tier, both of them. It's cool that you can get married, and it's a cool like mechanic that they're like always wanting to be with you because they're in love with you. But they're just not good companions. I would not recommend getting them. If you want to get them and keep them, do it after the game ends, and you can go and do it then, because you don't want them with you for the Enclave oil rig, and you can't leave them behind. So they're F tier. Next up is Myron. Myron claims to be the creator of Jet, and you pick him up at the stables location outside of New Reno. If you go down there and find him, he's a foul-mouthed little bastard. I'm not a fan of him. Excuse me. I'm not a fan of him as a companion. He's hilarious when you talk to him, but he's not really that good in combat. Kind of like with Vic. He's fun to have around, and he can do some he can make you stim packs if you give him the materials. But other than that, he's not really great. I'm gonna put him in D tier. Actually, I'm going to put him at the bottom end of C tier. He's better than Vic. Combat-wise, he's on par with Vic, but he can make stim packs, and he's funny. So that's the only reason he's going to be C tier. Realistically, he's probably a D tier character. Next up, we have K9. K9 is one of 2 cyberdogs you can get. K9 you get at Navarro, and you have to get his motivator from one of the hangars, and you can install it in him, and he'll follow you. He's pretty good. He's kind of like Dogmeat was, but he's still pretty fragile, so he'll die pretty easy. But he's a good companion. I wouldn't put him as good as Dogmeat, so I'm going to put him at B tier. And next we have the other Cyberdog, which is just called Cyberdog. This one you pick up in the NCR. He's in one of the doctor's houses there. If you do the quest for the doc, he'll give him to you. I think you can also kill the doctor and get him that way too, but yeah, you just have to repair him and then he'll join you. Same thing. He's basically the same as as K9, so I'm gonna put them on par with him. Um, yeah, they're pretty much the same, but just you just get them differently. Next up is Marcus. Marcus is one of my favorite companions. He's a super mutant from Broken Hills, and he's pretty good. He can use heavy weapons like most super mutants. He's fairly durable, even though he doesn't get armor. He's another companion that I tend to carry with me for a long time. I'm gonna put him in A tier with the other two that I usually keep around. Um, Marcus, again, really good companion. He shows up again in Fallout New Vegas, which is awesome at Jacobstown. He's a really cool character, and I just like having him around. And if you solve the crisis that's going on in Broken Hills about all the missing people, then he'll join you after that. Next up is Gorus. Gorus is an intelligent Deathclaw that wears a robe, and you get him in Vault 13. He's a lot of fun to use. Um, he is the other one that I'll usually trade out with Marcus. So, like, I keep Solik and Cassidy, and then my third one for endgame is either usually Marcus or Gorus. Gorus at one point will leave to go back to Vault 13, and you go back and you can pick him up again after that. But he's a really good companion, and he does a lot of damage. He is a Deathclaw, though, so it's all melee damage, so it's short range. But he's another one that I'm going to put in A tier because he's just a really cool character. And next up, we have Skynet. Skynet, you get at the Sierra Army Depot, and you, depending on which brain you get for it, will determine different things about it. I'm not a big fan of Skynet. It's just a robot that follows you around, and again, depending on which brain you put in him, which personality he gets, it's a little bit different based on that. But I mean, overall, he's okay. He's not as good as some of the other companions that I've already put in A tier. He's just kind of generic. I'm gonna put him in C tier, or I'm sorry, yeah, C tier. Um, I think he's still better than Vic. I think Vic's probably the second worst companion next to these two in Fallout 2. He does have his uses, but he's just not good for combat. Skynet's decent for combat, so I'll put him above Myron and Katya. But I think Lenny's better, and I still think he's I mean, there's better companions than Skynet. He's cool, but like there's better companions. And last up, we have Dogmeat from Fallout 2. So Dogmeat from Fallout 2 is a weird one because you don't get him naturally. You get him in a random encounter at the Cafe of Broken Dreams. And there's two ways to pick him up. Similar to in the first game, if you're wearing a leather jacket, he'll just start following you. If not, you can give him iguana bits or iguana on a stick, and he'll follow you for that too. He is just as good as he is in Fallout 1. I'm putting him just up there with the Fallout 1 one because, again, he's just as good. He's still a little bit difficult to keep alive, but because you can leave him behind, where you can't really do that with your other companions in Fallout 1, that I remember you can't really leave them, he's easy to keep alive, especially so you can, like, drop him somewhere. Again, for me, I'll drop him at Cassis Bar, I'll do the rest of the main quest, and then I'll come back and I'll swap out Marcus or Gorus for Dogmeat, just run around with the dog for the rest of the game. Like after the fact, it's pretty cool. He's a really good character. He's the same dog as in Fallout 1, but he's just yeah, Dogmeat is the best. All right, so now we're moving on to Fallout 3. So Fallout 3, we're gonna do this in order of what you need to get them. So in Fallout 3, there's two companions if you're evil, two if you're neutral, two if you're good, and then two that you can get no matter what, and that's for karma. So the first evil companion you can get is Jericho. You pick him up in Megaton, and you have to have negative karma, evil karma, to pick him up, and you just have to pay him, I don't remember how much it is, but you pay him a fee, and he'll join you. Pretty easy. He's a decent companion to have. Um, if you're evil, he's really good. If you are evil and plan on blowing up Megaton, you're going to want to grab him first. But yeah, definitely a decent companion for early game if you are going on the evil side. He's going to go B tier because there's not really anything negative about him. He's just a solid early game companion for an evil character. Next up is Clover. Clover is not as good in my opinion. She's a close range character. She's good. You pick her up in Paradise Falls. You have to buy her from Eulogy Jones. She's a decent character. You can still keep her if you wipe out all the slavers. You just have to basically make sure she's with you. If you or send her back there after you've killed them all, and she'll still be able to be picked up. Um, She's not great though. I'm gonna put her in C tier. I'm gonna put her on the high end of C tier because same thing with Jericho. I'm gonna put him in the high end of B tier because I think the characters from Fallout 3 and on are a little bit better than most of the ones from the first two games, with a couple of exceptions, and I'll point that out when we get there. But yes, I mean Clover is a decent character, C tier. She's again one of the few characters you can get if you're evil. So if you're an evil character, she's not bad. I think Jericho's a little better, but she's still not bad. Next up is the first of the neutral companions, which is Sergeant RL3. He's a robot you buy from a traveling vendor. I want to say where he shows up, if I recall, is over by the Robco Center, which is like southwest of Megaton, kind of around like the Fort Independence area. That area, if I remember correctly, that's usually where first time I ever spot him. I think it's around there. He is, if you have neutral karma. Neutral karma is kind of tough to maintain unless you take the perk that puts your karma to neutral late in game, and then you can get these guys. I mean, he's a Mr. Gutsy. He's pretty good. I don't really like being neutral karma though, so for that reason, I would say he's a little bit lower on the list. I'm gonna put him at C tier, above Clover, because combat-wise he's a little bit better than her, but he's really tough to get. If he was easier to get, if you get him for neutral or evil or good karma, he'd probably be B tier, but because he can't, he's C tier. Next up we have Butch. Butch you can pick up in Rivet City after you do the quest where you return to Vault 101. He is another neutral karma character. I don't like him at all. He does have a unique, what is it? Switchblade. I think it's called Butch's Toothpick. You can get from him, but he's not a good combat character, and he's just kind of. I don't like Butch to begin in general. I'm not really a fan of the character. It's cool you can get him as a companion, but again, he's stuck to neutral karma. So like one of the rewards for getting for going out of your way to have neutral karma is Butch. I mean that's kind of bad. He's gonna go D tier. I think he's on par with Vic. I don't think he's a good companion to really at all. I'm also not a fan of the character, so that's kind of what puts him there. Now, in my opinion, the two good karma characters are really good. First one up is Star Paladin Cross. You pick her up at the Citadel. She is a Star Paladin for the Brotherhood of Steel. She uses a super sledge and does a lot of really good damage. You need good karma to get her, and she's really good. She's really worth it. I'm gonna put her in A tier. She's definitely A tier character. She's probably one of the better companions in the entire game. Definitely one of the better companions in the entire game. So in my opinion, the two of the best companions that you can get, you need to be good karma to get. Which, I mean, the game kind of pushes you towards good karma 90% of the game. I mean, there's some bad karma stuff you can do in that game, but realistically, a good chunk of the game you're going to be doing things that are good karma, especially as far as the main quest goes. Um, Next up is Fox. Fox, you get in Vault 87. You meet him there, and if you free him, he'll show up at Raven Rock after you break out, and you can get him as a companion. He's really good. He's a super mutant with a Gatling laser, so he does pretty good in combat. He can carry a lot of stuff too. He is, I think, going to be our first S tier companion. He's my favorite companion in Fallout. Well, one of my favorite companions in Fallout 3. If you're a good karma, he's definitely the companion you want to have. And he is a little bit better than Star Paladin Cross, in my opinion, and just a great character to have around. And yeah, can hold a lot, do a lot of damage. He's everything you want out of a companion in a Fallout game. Next up, we have Sharon. Sharon is one of the two companions that are not tied to karma. So Sharon and Dogmeat you can get, and they are not tied to your karma. So him you pick up in Underworld. You have to buy his contract from the guy running the bar in Underworld. And then he works for you basically. He's pretty decent. He's I would say a little bit better than Jericho. As far as like combat wise, he's about on par actually with Jericho. He's a decent character. He's a ghoul who's pretty cool. He doesn't talk a lot, but he's good. I'm gonna put him right above Jericho in B tier, and the only reason he's gonna go above Jericho is because you don't need karma to get him. You can get him on any playthrough. You just have to go and pay his contract out. Next up, we have Dogmeat. Dogmeat for Fallout 3 is a weird one. You get him at the junkyard, and he's a good companion in Fallout 3. I would say not as good as he will be in future games or past games. He's probably mid-level in Fallout 3. Probably I don't think I don't like him as much as I do in Fallout 1 or 2, and I like him a little bit less than I do in Fallout 4. So he's kind of going to be like in the middle there. Um, he's a good companion. It's cool to have a dog with you. And one benefit is if you get the perk puppies, I think it's called. If dog meat dies, if anything happens to him, a dog meat pup will spawn at Vault 101's entrance, and you can go back and pick them up indefinitely. So that's pretty cool. He's going to go the high end of B tier as well. I like him a little bit better than I like having Sharon on my team because he's dog meat. But still, he's not as good as either of the good companions in this game, in my opinion. All right, that is everybody for Fallout 3. We're moving on to Fallout New Vegas. Now, in New Vegas, they changed things up a little bit, where there's certain things you can't really do with certain companions, and they also made it so they give you perks when you have them with you, which is pretty nice. So first up, we have Eddie. Eddie you can pick up in. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the town. Wow. I'm really drawing a blank on the name of the town. It's the second town you go to in Fallout New Vegas, and I am Prim. That's it. There you go, Prim. So you pick him up in Prim. He's in the Nash's house in the workshop. You can repair him, and he'll come with you. He's a great companion. He's one of my favorite companions. I typically keep him for 90% of the game. I will swap him out for K9 at times, but or Rex rather at times. But he is a really solid companion to have. He gives you the enhanced sensors perk, which detects enemies at a far range, and enemies that are cloaked can also be targeted in VATS, which means you'll pick up enemies more often on your minimap, like on your compass. You'll see them show up sooner than you would without him, and enemies that are like in stealth can also be targeted with VATS, which is really solid and really nice. Eddie is one of the best companions in the game, and I love having him around. Eddie is S tier. I don't care if anybody disagrees with me. He is S tier for sure. Yeah. Next up, we have Boone. Boone is one of my favorite companions in the entire series. He's a sniper. You pick him up in Novak after you do the quest to help him avenge his wife. And he's solid. He gives you the spotter perk, which hostile targets are highlighted whenever the player is actively aiming. So basically, whenever you're aiming, you can see the targets will be highlighted in red, which is really nice. It helps them stand out a little more. He does a really good amount of damage. If you set him up with an anti-material rifle with good rounds, he'll like destroy things later in the game. The only I don't want to say downside, but the only negative thing about Boone is if you have him with you, he will target and attack Legion people on like as soon as he sees them, he'll attack them. No warning, no argument. He if you have him with you, you cannot go anywhere near the Legion because he will attack them, which is not really a bad thing. Most people don't love the Legion, so that's pretty good. He's great. Again, he's one of my favorite companions in the entire series. He is S tier. He's the top end of S tier. In my opinion, he's probably my favorite companion in New Vegas. He is typically the first companion or second companion after Eddie that I get. So in Fallout New Vegas, you can have a humanoid companion and a robot companion with you. So you can have Eddie and Boone at the same time, and them together is incredible. They do really well together. And other than not being able to go near the Legion, there's nothing bad about Boone. He's my favorite companion, probably one of my favorite companions in the entire series. I would say maybe my second or third, and we'll get to my first in a little bit. But yeah, he's really good. He's definitely the top end of S tier, no question. And next up, we have Cass, or Rosa Sharon Cassidy, the daughter of Cassidy from Fallout 2. Um, she's a pretty nice character. You meet her for the first time in Mojave Outpost, and after you do the quest to get her to sell her caravan for Crimson Caravan, she'll join you, and she gives you the Whiskey Rose perk, which eliminates the negative effects of consuming alcohol and addiction to alcohol. And if you drink whiskey or Wasteland Tequila, it'll raise your damage threshold, which is nice. Um, so she's a solid character. She is a shotgunner, so she's pretty good. She's one of the few companions that you can actually kill permanently. If you go to the Van Graffs and you do their quest, one of their quests is to bring her to them and they'll kill her. So she can actually be permanently killed. She's also you can't do both though. So if you do her quest, it makes the Van Graffs hostile, and if you do the Van Graffs quest, it'll kill Cass. So either one, it's kind of weird. Um, But yeah, it's just the way it works with her. She's an interesting character. She's not bad. I wouldn't say she's the best character in the game. She's I would say she's going to be a solid B tier companion. Definitely top end of B tier. She's really good. In combat, she's pretty good. Not as good as some of the ones we're going to meet later, but she's still pretty good. Next up, we have Veronica. Veronica is a really good companion. She's a Brotherhood of Steel scribe, and she's pretty good in melee combat. If you give her I think it's the Saturnite Fist or the Superheated, or I can't remember the name of it. The Fist, is it Displacer Glove maybe? The Fist weapon that you get in Lonesome Road. If you give that to her, she's a beast. She'll destroy things. I just can't remember the name of the Fist weapon. And she gives you the Scribe Assistant perk, which gives you options to use a workbench through her if you talk to her. So that's pretty useful. You can use a workbench anywhere. She's really good in combat. She's got some really cool story tie-ins to Dead Money, as well as her quest for the Brotherhood of Steel are pretty cool. I'm a big fan of her. She also voiced by Felicia Day, who's awesome. She's going to be A tier for me. I'm going to have to put her behind Star Paladin Cross because I think Star Paladin Cross is a better companion in the game that she's in than Veronica. Veronica has better companions in her game than Star Paladin Cross has in her, so that's why it's going to be behind Star Paladin Cross, but still high end of A tier. Alright, next up we have Lily. Lily is a Nightkin super mutant who is kind of crazy. So she gives you the Stealth Girl perk when you have her with you, which doubles Stealth Boy duration and also granting sneak attack criticals and an extra 10% damage. So that's pretty nice. Her perk is really nice. I like her for the quest that you take her with you. She's pretty useful for that. All in, I'm not a great fan of her. I think that there's better companions. For me, she's in between Cass and Veronica. I'm gonna put her in A tier right under Veronica because I think she's a little bit better than Cass, but I prefer Veronica over Lily. I usually only use Cass until I pick up Veronica. And yeah, I mean, once I do her quest, I dump her once I get Veronica. So I'm gonna put Lily a little bit above Cass, but below Veronica. I think A tier is a good spot for her. Next up, we have Rex. Rex is another cyber dog, and you get him from the king. You can get him a couple different ways. So you can either use your favor to get him that way, or if you talk to the king after doing some quest for him, he'll tell you that Rex is not doing well, and he'll give him to you so you can get him help. And he gives you the search and mark perk, which chems, firearms, and ammunition within a short distance are highlighted while aiming or zooming. So basically, it'll highlight weapons, ammo, or chems that are like on the ground that are sometimes hard to see. If you aim down the sights, you'll actually glow, kind of like the spotter perk for for Boone, where the enemies light up red. His things, I think, they light up green though for Rex, which is super useful. Rex can be upgraded in one of three ways too, which is pretty cool. Depending on which brain, 'cause you have to get a replacement brain to fix him, and you can either get a brain from a Legion dog, a brain from a Fiend dog, or a brain from the Junkyard Lady's dog, and it'll upgrade his abilities depending on which one you go in his personality a little bit, and also affect which ending he gets. He's a solid companion. I personally prefer Eddie. So there's a point in the quest with Eddie's quest where you take him to either the Followers of the Apocalypse or the Brotherhood of Steel, and they'll do upgrades on him and improve his stats, and they'll take him from you from a little bit. So when they do that, that's when I typically go and grab Rex, and I'll do his quest and use him for a little bit so I can get Eddie back. I prefer Eddie over Rex. I do like Rex a lot. He's a lot of fun, but I personally like Eddie better. So Rex for me is going to be A tier. He is going to be high end of A tier. I think he is really good. And again, because you can pair him with one of the other companions, that I think gives him a little bit of an edge. Same with Eddie, it gives them a little bit of an edge because you're not limited to just that companion. You can also have like Rex with Boone or Veronica or Lily in addition to having him. So that makes him a little bit better in my opinion. So he's going to be the higher end of A tier because he is not quite Eddie in my opinion, but he's really good. And the fact that you can pair him up with another character makes him even better. Next up is Raoul. Raoul you pick up from, I think it's Black Mountain is what the name is, where it is. It's the mountain with the super mutants and the radio station. I think it's Black Mountain. and you rescue him there from the super mutants, and he'll give you the regular maintenance perk, which conditional weapons and armor decays 50% slower, which is pretty cool. And you can upgrade that if you complete Old School Ghoul, his Unmarked quest. It'll up to 75%, which is nice. He's a cool companion. He's voiced by Daniel Trejo, which is even cooler. I like him a lot, but I don't really like him as much as I like Boone and Veronica. He's pretty good in combat though, and he's a solid companion. I'm gonna put him right in between Veronica and Lily, because I like him a little more than I like Lily, but I still think he's not as good as Veronica. So yeah, that's where I'm gonna put him. Raul, great character, just yeah. Next up, we have one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite companions, Arcade Gannon. Arcade, you pick up at the Old Mormon Fort, and he gives you the Better Healing perk, which is regains plus 20% more health from all consumable sources, which is solid. Means you heal more from all possible sources. You pick him up at the Old Mormon Fort. Now, important with him is if you have good karma with a Legion, he will not join you. He'll tell you outright he doesn't want to be involved with you because you're helping Caesar, and he won't join you. But now, if you then go and get negative karma with him, then you can pick him up. I like him a lot. He's a former Enclave. His quest also leads you to the Enclave remnants, which is awesome. I like him a lot. He's a really fun character to use, and honestly, like if I'm not using Boone, I'm using Arcade, and if I'm not using Arcade or Boone, I'm using Veronica. So like he's my go-to after Boone, at least until the Remnants port. I usually use him up until the Remnants quest, and then I stop using him, and then I focus primarily on just Boone and Veronica. So I like him a lot. I'm gonna put him at the high end of A tier because I do like him a little more than Veronica, but not as good as Boone. I don't think he quite qualifies for S tier yet, but he's a solid character. I do like him a lot. And yeah, he's just a lot of fun to play around with, and a lot of, he does some interesting things and some, um, some cool stuff. I like having him, and I like having him for um, certain things. Like there's certain things you can do with him where he'll talk to you about it, like different technological things you can find, like you cried the Crash Vertibird, and you need to do all that to get the Enclave Remnants, which you get the Remnants power armor from, which is awesome. Yeah, he's just a fun character to have around. I like his arc. I think his arc is pretty good. You do lose access to him if you do the Remnants quest, which is why I'm saying like I'll usually use him, and then after that you can't. So then I go to Veronica or Boone, but still he's a great character to have, and I do enjoy him. Next up, we have the Dead Money Companions, and the Dead Money Companions are pretty cool. First, you have Dog slash God. Depending on which one of them you get, they give you different perks. So if you're using God, he gives you In My Footsteps, which is traps do not activate, and you are given a stealth increase. So you basically won't set off like bear traps and stuff like that, and your stealth will be better, which is nice, but not as good as the dog perk. In my opinion, dog's perk is Ravenous Hunger, which he devours the limbs of the ghost people and prevents them from resurrecting. And if you see Dog do this, you can talk to him and get yourself the perk where you can basically get him to do that or to teach you how to do that, and you'll be able to permanently kill them easier. So that's pretty nice. And then you can also switch him over to God afterwards and get kind of the best of both. So you'll be able to do his version of the perk Ravenous Hunger yourself, and then you can also have God's In My Footsteps perk at the same time. So that's pretty nice. As far as the Dead Money Companions, I would say he's probably the weakest. He is cool to have around, but he's still not great. And he's probably the hardest, well, Dean's pretty difficult to save, but he's one of the more annoying ones to save. He's B tier. I'm gonna put him under Cass. He's not as good as Cass. None of the Dead Money Companions are gonna be as good as the mainline companions in my opinion, but he's a good companion to have while you have him, and he's useful, but he's not great. Um, I wouldn't call him anything less than B tier though. Dean Domino, however, is a little bit better. He's probably the better companion in my opinion. His perk gives you Unclean Living, which gives you cloud protection. You take 25% less damage from the cloud, and in my opinion, the cloud is the most annoying part of Dead Money, so that's a more useful perk. He is probably the hardest one to save because the only way you can save him is if you're nice to him the entire time. If you do anything against him or you question him at all, you won't be able to save him. You'll have to kill him. But you can save him if you're just nice to him. And he also gives you a perk um, to make the Sierra Madre Martini, which is cool, but not really necessary. But he's a good one. I like him a lot, and his temporary perk I think is the best of the three. I'm gonna put him in A tier, but I'm gonna put him in the lower end of A tier behind Lily. So I think he's better than God and Dog, but not as good as other people could be. And next up we have Christine. Christine's perk is super solid. It's the second best one of the four that you can get, and that's signal interference. It's plus 50% time to escape signals. So when you're running around Dead Money and you have the radios that are going off that are going to set off your collar, it adds 50% to your time being able to reduce, you know, so you can spend more time in the signal before you explode. Super nice, super convenient. I like her. You get her last though, and you don't really use her for long. She does give you a really solid perk if you have the abilities to the skills to get it out of her. I don't remember what skills you need. I want to say it's medicine and repair you need to get it from her, but I don't remember what it's called either. But she gives you a perk that lets you convert fission batteries and scrap metal into Sierra Madre chips, which is great because once you get back to the Mojave, you can still take all your fission batteries and convert them to chips, and then go back to the bunker and use the vending machine there to get like ammo and repair kits and stim packs and all that stuff, which is awesome. So she definitely gives you the most useful long-term perk out of all of them. Um, because Dean's perk is great, but the Sierra Madre Martini is not really that useful. And Dog God's perk is great because you can destroy the people there easier, but the enemies there easier, but you only use it while you're there. Hers is useful all around. She is probably the best companion um, in Dead Money, but I'm gonna put her right behind I'll put her right ahead of Denomino. I think Denomino is more useful because his perk is more useful. I think with the cloud being more useful, I think he's only gonna go below her because he's harder to save and because her perk that she gives you, the bonus perk she gives you, is really useful. So I'm gonna put her right there in A tier. She's really solid, but still like you know nothing great. All right. What do we have next? Honest Hearts. We have the Honest Hearts companions. So we have Follows Chalk. Follows Chalk is a pretty interesting one. I like him. He gives you the well stacked Karens perk, which reaching various summits reveals nearby map markers and grants +3 temporary perception, which is cool. So like if you're using him and you're exploring the Zion Valley, and you go up to the different ranger towers and you explore, you go to the edge, he'll give you his perk will allow map markers to show up. So like if you don't have the explorer perk, which I think works in this as well, which unlocks all the map markers, it'll show the different locations around so you can get them easier and it's easier to explore. He's a solid companion and his quest is pretty weird but pretty neat. He's a fun companion to have for the early part of Honest Hearts. I don't see anything wrong with him. I'm gonna put him in A tier. I'm gonna put him above the Dead Money companions, but below the regular ones. He's solid. I just wish you could use him longer because I like him a lot. I just wish you could use him longer. Next is Waking Cloud. Waking Cloud is you get her when you get to the I can't remember the name of the other tribe, but it's the tribe, the northern tribe. Is it the children or whatever they are? The northern tribe of Zion. When you pick her up, she is okay. I don't love her. She gives you a decent quest, but her perk is quiet as the waters. Whiteleg's perception is effectively decreased by 3. So when she's with you, it makes you harder to spot by the Whitelegs, which is cool. But I mean, she runs around and punches things with a Yagwai fist. So like she's all right. She's not great for combat. I'm just not a fan of her in general. I think that Fallostruck is a better companion. I'm gonna put her in B tier. I'm gonna put her in B tier. Actually, I'm gonna put her on the lower end of B tier. So I'm gonna put her below the Fallout 3 companions. I think she's alright. She's decent, but she's not really worth it in my opinion. I think that Fallostruck is a better companion, and I wish you could use him longer. Next, we have Joshua Graham. Joshua Graham, you get for the end part of the quest of Zion, and he gives you the Way of the Cannonite perk. So it decreased in spread and double the critical chance for 45 auto pistols, which is awesome. 45 auto pistol is one of my favorite weapons in the entire Fallout New Vegas game. That gets added with the Honest Hearts X Pack, which is awesome. It's one of my favorite expansions, and like making that pistol have lower spread and higher crit chance is great because that pistol is solid already. It's also Joshua Graham. It's the friggin' Birdman that you get to run around with. Joshua Graham is S tier. I mean, I'm sorry, he's S tier. He's the lower end of S tier because you don't get to use him long, but he is. It's Joshua frickin' Graham. Like he's S tier. It's kind of hard to say anything bad about him. He's a lot of fun to use and just honestly like definitely solid and definitely fun and just all in just it's Joshua Graham. Like he's great. Next up we have Eddie. And this is Eddie specifically from the Lonesome Road. So he gives you the his perk there is a bunch. It changes depending on what you do. So you get parts for him that will increase his perk. So the part one is he repairs 25% weapon condition once per day. He'll do that for you once per day. Part two is he produces energy or microfusion cells once per day. Part 3 is plus 2 damage threshold. Part 4 is plus 5 beam weapon damage. And Part 5 is 5% VATS hit chance, which is solid. All of those are solid, but in order to get all that, you have to find all of the Eyebots around Lonesome Road and give them to Eddie, but you only get them. I think you only get them in Eddie that's there. I don't think that transfers over to the. If I recall correctly, it doesn't transfer over to Eddie in the main game. So like it's cool, but he's the only companion for Lonesome Road, and I mean he's good. It's still freaking Eddie. I still really like him. I'm gonna put him in A tier. He's not as good as his regular counterpart in S tier, but I'm definitely gonna put him in the higher end of A tier. I'd say right there behind Rex and Arcade. He's good. It's nice to have a companion for Lonesome Road, but he's only usable in Lonesome Road, and he's only usable until you complete the story of Lonesome Road, and then you don't get to use him again. So like he's not a permanent. If he was a permanent companion, he'd be S tier, but he's not. So, all right, moving on to Fallout 4, and first up, of course, we have Dogmeat. Dogmeat is Dogmeat. He's the best freaking dog in the wasteland. He is awesome if you have the Lone Wanderer perk and you have the good. I think it's Good Doggy perk that you can get in Fallout 4. It increases everything for him, and the Lone Wanderer perk makes it so you get better stats if you're traveling without a companion, and Dogmeat doesn't count as a companion for this perk. You can also upgrade the I can't remember what it's called, but the regular companion perk that increases all of their stats also increases Dogmeat's. So you can beef him up pretty good. And with Lone Wanderer, he's incredible, so he makes it really worthwhile to do with Lone Wanderer. And yeah, he's S tier. Dogmeat is S tier. Um, Again, Boone is one of my favorite companions. Dogmeat's a very close behind him. I don't think he's as good as Boone. I like Boone more. So Dogmeat is S tier, high end of S tier for sure. Fallout 4 Dogmeat is just incredible. I like him a lot. Next up, we have Codsworth. Codsworth you get in Sanctuary. So after you go and investigate, oh yeah, Dogmeat you get at the Red Rocket Truck Stop. So once you exit Sanctuary, you go to the Red Rocket Truck Stop, and Dogmeat is all yours. Next up, we have Codsworth. Codsworth you pick up in Sanctuary, but you can't get him right away when you first get there. You have to at least go and explore the early parts of Lexington where you first get Preston to call for help. Once you do that, you don't have to go in and help them, but you have to at least trigger the part where Preston asks for help while he's getting attacked by raiders, and then you can go back and recruit Codsworth. Codsworth is pretty good for an early on companion. Um, he can carry a decent amount. He's decent in combat. He's just an all around decent character, decent companion. I usually pick him up right away as soon as I can, and he's one of the first companions I max out because he's pretty easy. You just be nice to people, be nice to robots especially, and craft weapons and armor, and he's a pretty easy one to level up. And once you get his affinity max, you get the robot sympathy perk, which is plus 10 damage resistance um, versus robotic energy weapons. So when you're getting attacked by robots using energy weapons, which is most of the time, that's usually what they have, you get a 10% damage resistance, which is great. Later on for Automatron, having that perk already is a nice little extra damage resistance. So it's definitely worth it. Pretty good. I'm going to put Codsworth in B tier. He's a great companion to have. I do think there's a lot better and some worse companions in Fallout 4. He's just a really solid early game companion. If you got him later than when you do, I would say he'd be lower on the list. But because you can get him so early, I'm going to put him as higher as B tier. Next up, we have Piper. Piper is my typically the second companion I get. So once I finish Codsworth Affinity, I'll pick up Piper. And Piper's perk is great. It's called Gift of Gab. It's times 2 XP for any conversation you have. So whenever you do a speech check in conversation, you get double the XP for that, as well as for discovering locations. So she's really good if you grab her early and max out her affinity early, which is really easy because she likes every time you pick a lock. So if you just grab her and pick a bunch of locks that aren't owned, she's a really easy one to bump up her affinity. And also being nice to people is pretty nice. So like it's just an easy one to do. I like her a lot. I usually pick her up as soon as possible. Like I'll finish. I'll if I'm doing survival, I'll pick up Codsworth early, and then I'll max him out, and head to Diamond City and pick her up. And if I'm not doing survival, I'll go to Diamond City, do some stuff there to help it max out, and then I'll just cheese it to finish him up so I can pick Piper up right away. And she's great. I like her as a companion. She doesn't do a lot of damage with her weapon. You can give her better weapons, but combat-wise, she's not great. But her perk is incredible, so it's definitely worth picking up her for her perk. For me, she's going to be A tier. Next up, we have Deacon. Deacon can go either way. So if you're siding with the railroad, Deacon's a really good companion to have. He's probably the best one for a railroad playthrough. If you're not siding with the railroad, and I personally hate the railroad, they're my least favorite faction in the game. I wipe them out no matter who I'm siding with. Even if I'm siding with the Minutemen, I'll still play the Brotherhood of Steel up until the point where you wipe out the railroad, and then I'll become enemies with the Brotherhood of Steel and go with the Minutemen. Like I can't stand the Railroad. I don't know why, to be honest with you. I'm not a fan of them. I don't really like their quests. I don't really like their whole thing. I just think they could have been done better. That being said, Deacon is still a pretty good companion to have. Um, and even if I'm not siding with the Railroad, which I never do, I still pick him up. Once I'm done with Piper, I'll go in and grab him. And honestly, it's kind of worth it because you can pick him up, you can do all the Railroad quests, just for easy XP, and you want to get Ballistic Weave anyway, so you can go there and you can take him with you to do like the Tinker Tom Mira quests or the Ballistic Weave cache quests or like the Safe House quests and all that stuff. Those are all worth doing with him because it's a pretty easy way. Like if you do all of those all of the railroad quests on all their quests with him, you'll easily get him maxed out. He's also pretty easy because he get affinity with him from hacking terminals and from picking locks, which is super easy. And he gives you the Cloak and Dagger perk. Cloak and Dagger is plus 20% sneak attack damage and plus 40% stealth boy duration. So he's great for a sneaky character, or even just like if you're like when I play survival, I typically do rifleman because I just like rifleman. And with the ammo rates, it's honestly, I think, my opinion, one of the easier ones to do because you don't have to carry a ton of ammo and still be pretty solid in it. And the Cloak and Dagger perk with Rifleman is incredible because you can start off your fights in stealth and get a nice easy sneak attack off early, which is 20% additional damage, which is nice. So if you have like a really high powered enemy or a legendary enemy in a group that you see ahead of you and you can get a sneak attack off, it's a nice easy way to start a battle. So that being said, his perk is very good. I like Deacon, I just hate the Railroad. So that's going to put him a little bit lower on the list than if I liked the Railroad. I'm going to put him at C tier. Um, if I didn't like Deacon as a character, he'd be D tier. But his perk and the fact that I like him as a character make him C tier. If I liked The railroad, he'd probably be A tier, but I hate the railroad, and that a lot of him is tied to the railroad, and I don't. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just don't like the railroad. So he's going to be C tier for that reason. Next up is Preston Garvey. This is a tough one because I hate Preston Garvey. Like he's a cool character, and I like his like story and his lore, and he's a cool character to have around. And for some of the quests, he's really cool. And his perk is pretty good. His perk is United We Stand, which is plus 20 damage, plus 20% damage, and plus 20 damage resistance when you're fighting 3 or more opponents. And you're almost always going to be fighting 3 or more opponents. So you get a damage and damage resistance bonus for having that perk, which is great. So he's also another easy one to boost up. If you follow the Minutemen quest line and you do the point of the quest where you go and help the different people and you get what is it, like I think you need four, you have to help out 4 settlements, and then you get the quest for the castle, and then you go take the castle, and then you wait a little bit, and Rodney will show up, and you get the quest for the artillery. If you do all of that with Preston, and also if you help Mama Murphy kick chems, he's pretty much going to be idolized with you. That it's really easy to get him up. Like I last time I did it on survival. Survival's a little bit easier because you can't fast travel, so you have to walk everywhere, and just keeping them with you and them walking around and doing things with you does increase their infinity over time. So this may vary for you if you're not playing survival, but last time I did him my survival run, it was easy. By the time I was done launching the artillery, he was idolized, and all I did with him was the Abernathy Farm quest. I did the Ten Pines Bluff quest, and I did like 2 other quests with him to get 2 other settlements done, and it was done. He was easy. So his perk is solid. Again, I personally like the character. However, what gives him a bad rank is his annoyance with the every time you talk to him, there's another settlement that needs your help. That alone makes me not want to travel with him. I travel with him to get the perk, and that's it. As soon as I have the perk, I never travel with him again and never speak to him again. Unless I'm doing a Minutemen playthrough, and then I have to speak to him again to do later parts of the quest. But that's it. And honestly, it's super annoying because if you go to Nuka World, and as soon as you take a settlement in the Mojave, he'll never join you as a companion again. So like if you don't get his perk before you go to Nuka World, or if you don't meet him for the first time until after you wipe out the Nuka World Raiders, even if you did, he's super annoying. So like if you're playing if you're gonna like, he's just super annoying to get. Nuka World made him a super annoying character to deal with, and he was already annoying to deal with all the settlement requests. I hate to do it because I actually think the character's cool if it wasn't for all the settlement requests. He is D tier. I don't want to put him in F tier because his perk is solid, and if you're siding with the Middleman, he's a pretty cool dude. I hate the how hard he is to deal with if you're once you have Nuka World and you deal with the Nuka World Raiders. He's a pain in the ass, and he's just annoying with all the settlement requests, so he's D tier. Again, I'd put him in F tier, but I like his perk and I think he can be good, so he's going to be D tier. Next up, we have MacCready. I love MacCready. I love the fact that they brought a character back from Fallout 3. I thought that was great. As an adult, he's cool. He's one of my favorite companions to use, and I do use him for a while. You kind of end up having to because he's a little bit on the tougher side to get your affinity up with because he likes stealing and likes like picking own locks, which you can obviously if you just go around Diamond City you can easily up his affinity, but I don't like to do that all the time. I like to just do other things with him, and he's cool to have around. He's really solid in combat. He's another rifleman character, which is weird. They gave so many of the characters, so many of the companions in this game are riflemen. Like MacCready is, Deacon is. Garvey technically is, even though he's using a laser weapon, but it's a laser sniper rifle. So Garvey is a rifleman plus um, uh, Old Longfellow is a rifleman, and I think X688 might be commando, but I don't remember. But yeah, like so many of the guys in this game are riflemen, which is cool because they're solid. They do good damage. MacCready's perk is also a really solid one, plus 20% VATS headshot accuracy, and that's what it says it does. In reality, it's actually a lot higher than that. It gives you, like, once you have this perk, you'll almost always have 95% hit rate on a head in VATS. Like, no matter what your perception is, you're always going to have a high hit rate once you get this perk. It's stupid good. If you're using VATS a lot, you have to get this perk and get it early, honestly. It makes the game a lot easier. If you're not using VATS, you don't really need it, but it's solid, and McCready's an awesome character. Um, McCready is going S tier. He's going S tier. He's going below dog meat, but he's going S tier. I really like having him around. He's solid in combat. His perk is really good, and I really enjoy using him a lot. He's one of the companions that I will go back to if I'm like stuck in a rut, like if I'm in between. Like at one point, the way I play the game, there's a spot where I'm stuck kind of in between Automatron and Nick Valentine. That there's like a gap there that I'll do, and he's a nice companion that I'll sometimes, if I don't want to lug Ada around because I usually make her a sentry bot and she can get in the way, I'll go and grab him instead until I'm ready to pick up Valentine. But anyway, moving on. Next up is Hancock. Hancock is the coolest ghoul in the Commonwealth, and he's a lot of fun. He can be annoying to get because you have to do a couple of different quests in Good Neighbor before you can get him, but he's worth it once you get him. And he's pretty easy to level, honestly. If you drink, use chems, and run around naked, he'll be idolized in no time, so that's pretty nice. And his perk is called Isotoped. 20% damage when your rads are at 250 or more. So, like, if you're playing a bloodied build, this perk is awesome. Um, if you're even if you want to just keep your rads at 250, I don't think I think the 20% damage is kind of worth it. But it's up to you if you want to even use it. But it's still nice to have, and Hancock's a really fun character to use, and his backstory is really cool once you get to know him, and he tells you his backstory. It's really solid. I like Hancock a lot. He's going to be A tier for me. I like Piper a little more. I think her perk's a little bit more useful. If his perk was more useful, honestly, I think Hancock could be A tier. He's A tier, or S tier rather. He's A tier for me because he's just such a good character, and I really enjoy like his backstory and how he works and all the things you can do with him, and how many different quests he ties into. Because he ties into like he asks you to do a bunch of things. There's a couple quests he'll tie into and show up for, and then also he'll tie into like the Silver Shroud quest, which is pretty cool. But yeah, he's a solid character. Next up, we have Strong. Strong is the biggest pain in this game to get affinity with if you're not going to use Cannibal. If you're going to use Cannibal, it's easy. My most recent run, I did Survival, and I used Cannibal, and it was stupid easy. I just ran around and ate everybody I saw with him, and it took me like an hour and a half of literally just running around downtown Boston. I would just run around the entire area. I would take out any enemies I saw. I would eat all their corpses. I would go find an area where there's like a ton of bodies. You eat a corpse, rest 2 hours, eat a corpse, rest 2 hours, and I got him up to idolized really quick that way. But if you're not willing to use Cannibal, then he's really hard to get up. Well, yeah, I heard that after I said it. He's really hard to get affinity with. Um, you pretty much the only other way I've ever done I do it if I'm not doing Cannibal is if you go and do the Automatron quests and for the Mechanist Rogue Robot. Every time you go and you pick one of those quests up, he'll like it. And the same thing with Preston's quest. Every time you go to a settlement and you talk to the people there and you accept their quest, he'll like that. So that can be another easy. Not I wouldn't say easy. It's annoying because it takes a while doing it that way. But what I typically do with him and the way to get his affinity up to if you want his perk is I just build. So I'll wait and hold off on building much until I pick him up. I'll pick him up and then I'll build. Like I usually make my headquarters the Red Rocket, so I'll pick him up, build everything out that I want to build out. Then I'll move on to Sanctuary, build everything out that I want to build out there. Then I'll head to another settlement, build out what I want to build there, and I'll just build like a bunch of settlements and stuff like that over and over again until his affinity gets up that way. And just from being with you, that'll work. It'll take a while, but it's easier to do that way if you don't want to go around and just do Rogue Robot over and over again or do Preston's quest over and over again. It's not bad. And that being said, his quest or his perk rather is not that great. Um, it can be useful though. It's plus 20% weapon damage after dropping below 25% health. So that's good, but only if you're at low health, and it's basically the same. It gives you a similar boost as like Nerd Rage does, so it's nice for that. In a pinch, it's really useful. but it's not something that you're gonna want to have to use a lot. Again, if you're playing a bloodied build, it's great, but if not, it can be a pain. That being said, I don't really love Strong at all. He's my least favorite character to use because he doesn't like everything. Like if you get in power armor, he dislikes it. If you pick up junk, he dislikes it. If you modify weapons, he dislikes it. He's just a pain to use. He doesn't like lock picking. He doesn't like he just everything you normally do in the game with the game's gameplay loop. He dislikes. So he's just a pain. I am putting him in F tier. Um, he's my least favorite companion in the entire game. I like him less than Garvey. Garvey I actually like as a character. My big beef with Garvey, like I said, is him constantly giving you the settlement quests. Strong is just a pain in every aspect. His perk is very good, but other than that, I don't like him. And his perk is very situational. So his perk is only good if you're playing a specific build or in certain situations. So for me, he's F tier. It's not. He's just not great. Next up is Kate. Kate is one of my favorite companions in Fallout 4. Her perk is great. It's called Trigger Rush. You regenerate action points more quickly if your health drops below 25%. So again, in a pinch, it's a good action point refresher for a VATS build or a melee build if you're using power attacks. It's great. She's a solid companion. She does pretty good damage with shotguns and weapons. So like, she's a nice companion to have. She's a lot of fun to use. She's one of the companions that I'll use long term. Um, Other than like Dogmeat and Valentine, she's one of the ones I'll kind of pick up, and McCready. She's one of the ones I'll pick up like in a pinch if I'm in between characters, like if I'm done with one and I'm not quite ready to go do the next one. I have stuff I want to do. I'll pick her up sometimes in the same situation I use McCready. So for me, she's S tier. She's a little bit. I like her more than McCready, not quite as much as Dogmeat. She's an awesome character. I really like her backstory. She's one of the better characters in the game. I like to romance her, and in almost all of my playthroughs, I romance either her or Piper, but typically romance her. And yeah, she's just a great character to have around. And I like her a little bit better than I like McCready, but I usually get her a little bit later because there's a lot of things I like to do specifically with her, and I'll wait to do that until a certain later point in the game. So, but still, she's a solid character, and I really enjoy having her around. Definitely an S tier character. Next up, we have Ada. Ada is a tough one. Ada doesn't give you a perk. There's no affinity with her. You get her from Automatron, and she can be really useful because you can upgrade her. Like you can make her into a sentry bot if you want to, and also important to note that you can do that with Codsworth too. After you have the Automatron DLC installed and you have the Robot Workbench, you can upgrade Codsworth at the bench too and make him however you want. But Ada anyway. So Ada is cool to use for the Mechanist quest, and she's great in the sense of if you upgrade her all the way and give her like all the compartment um, perks, she can hold a lot of stuff. So she can be a really good mule to use. But other than that, she's kind of boring. She's just a robot who shoots things. I don't like her as much as Codsworth, and because you can upgrade Codsworth in the same way, and he gives you a perk, I think Codsworth a little better. I'm gonna put her in C tier. I'm gonna put her right below Deacon. I like Deacon better as a character than her, and if she had a perk, she'd probably be higher up on the list, but she doesn't, so it's kind of boring. Yeah. But again, that's just my opinion. She's great, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather use Kate or McCready or Valentine or even Deacon than Ada most of the time. Next up, we have the generic automatrons. So you can make automatrons, new robots there at the workbench, and just use them as companions. They're just boring generic robots. You can do whatever you want with them. They're going to go F tier. Right behind Strong. Strong only beats them because he has personality and because he's a perk. They're just, I mean, you can build a robot. There's no reason to build an extra robot when you have Codsworth and Ada already. So it's kind of pointless. I mean, it's a cool feature, but I mean, I've literally never used it because I've never had a reason to. So for me, it's F tier just because I've never used them. I'm actually gonna put them in the low end of F tier because I think that the marriage companions in Fallout 2 actually have a purpose. You can get married, and it's cool. It's a cool mechanic. Um, Whereas the Automatron, I just don't see a point to it when you already have two robots that you can upgrade. Why do you need an Automatron? Like you can literally do whatever you want to these two, and there's no reason to really have an extra one. Next up, you have Nick Valentine. Nick Valentine is my favorite companion in Fallout 4. He is my favorite companion in Fallout, period. He is by far my favorite companion to run with. I love picking him up. I love doing all his um, his what are they his detective agency quests, like the one where you have to find Doc Crocker and the one where you go to Faneuil Hall. I love those quests. I love taking him to Far Harbor and doing the Far Harbor quest with him, and also doing the Far Harbor the vault quest with him. Really, he call for detective. That's awesome. He just ever there, I don't have anything bad to say about Nick Valentine. He gives you the perk Close to Metal, which 50% faster terminal cooldown if you get locked out, and you also get an extra guess when hacking terminals, which is great. If you hack terminals, it just makes it that much easier. He's my favorite companion in the entire series. He's going S tier, there's no question there. He is the companion that I will run around with after the game is over once I've gotten every other companion's perk. He is the one that I stick with permanently after that. It's just, he is my favorite companion. He's funny, he's snarky, he's good in combat, even though he's only using a pipe revolver. You can give him better weapons, and he's pretty solid with them. Yeah, he's great. He's everything I want out of a Fallout companion. He has the whole package, and I just really enjoy him. Next up, you have Curie, and this is the robot form of Curie, but I'm going to bundle them all together because we don't have the both forms of Curie on here. So Curie, you pick up in Vault 81, and after you do the quest there, and once you get high enough affinity with her, she'll give you a quest called Emergent Behavior, where you can go and get her a synth body, which is pretty cool. Robot Curie is useful. She is nice, but I prefer Synth Curie. I think she's more useful as a synth because you can give her better weapons, and she's just, yeah, pretty solid. She gives you the Combat Medic perk, which once for 24 hours, if you fall below 10% health, you immediately just gain 100 health. So, like, it's a free heal if you go low, which is awesome. She can be a nice character to have um, in a pinch, and she's just a solid character overall. She's gonna go B tier. I'm gonna put her right below Codsworth, just because where I usually get her in the game is pretty late, and her perk is good. But if you get her early, she might be higher up. I typically get her later in the game. You can't get her synth body until after the Brotherhood of Steel arrives. So after you take out Kellogg, and you do that where the Brotherhood of Steel arrive, then you go through the thing where you go into the Valentine's head with the piece from Kellogg's brain. You do that quest. I can't remember what it's called, but after you do that, you can then finish her up and get her her synth body. So you can't even get her perk until that point in the game. So that's usually why I don't pick her up until then anyway. But yeah, I mean she's pretty solid, but I would say B tier. Next up, we have Paladin Danse. Paladin Danse is an interesting one. If you're siding with the Brotherhood, he's weird because obviously spoilers, but if you know what happens, they turn against him because he's a synth, and then you can't really use him with the Brotherhood anymore. That being said, he's a great companion. He's always in power armor. He does solid damage. He can hold a lot, and he's a pretty good character. Um, if you could use him with the Brotherhood, I think it would be a little bit better. But Danse, once you can get his affinity, and you can't get his affinity and get his perk until you finish the quest Blind Betrayal, where you either choose to kill him or let him live. After that is when you can get his perks. You really can't get his perk until later. His perk is good though, plus 20% damage against feral ghouls, super mutants, and synths, which is great. I just wish you could get it earlier because that's a super useful perk. But like, by the time you get it in the game, like it's kind of late. So like, I wish you had it sooner. Um, he's solid. I'm gonna put him in C tier, right above Deacon, because I do like him. I if you could get his perk earlier, and if you could still use him with the Brotherhood, he'd be higher up. But I'm gonna put him at C tier just because he's kind of annoying to finish up. You have to make certain choices a certain way, and it's gonna be frustrating to deal with him after and get his perk. And his perk is great. I just wish you could get it earlier. So C tier. Next up, we have, I don't know why these are ahead of him, but we're going to do X688. X688 is the final main game companion, and he's the Institute companion. So again, if you're using the Institute as your main, if you're siding with them, he's great, and he's easy to level up because you just do the Institute quest, and you'll get him pretty easy. His perk is Shield Harmonics, which gives you plus 20 energy resistance, which is cool. Like 20 extra energy resistance is solid. Not really a great perk as far as like a companion perk, and how annoying he is to get his affinity up if you're not siding with the Institute. Can be annoying because like he likes, I believe it's modifying weapons and armor, and also getting in and out of power, or getting into power armor. So that's pretty easy to do, and you can cheese it that way where you just do it and sleep and do it and sleep over and over again. But if you're siding with the Institute, he's great, and he's much easier to level up. You can still, what I usually do is I'll do a bunch of the Institute side quests and get affinity from there, and then just cheese it so I don't have to deal with it. Just because I'm kind of a completionist, so I like to get all the companion perks um, in pretty much every playthrough. So I will do that. Also, it's nice to get the extra free XP from doing the side quests and stuff like that. So I'll do that and then get him, but I don't really like to use him. Even if I'm playing an Institute character, I don't really use him for much. I'll use him until I get his perk, and then I never touch him again. So like then I'll replace him with either a Valentine or one of the other people. I'm gonna put him in D tier, right below Garvey. I don't like him, and I don't like, and his perk's not really great. And you have to really side with the Institute to make it an easy time of getting his perk. And even when you do that, his perk's not really worth it. So he's D tier. He could be, but he's decent in combat. But like, I don't still think he's a great companion overall. Next up, we have um, Porter Gage. Porter Gage is a lot of fun to use in Nuka World. So while you're doing Nuka World, he's the one you're pretty much going to use. He's a raider. He helps you out at the beginning, and he gives you um, well, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. He's the one who helps you beat Coulter and gives you the stuff you need for uh, the squirt gun. He's the one who tells you about the squirt gun. Wow. Sorry. And so when you're using him for different things, he can be really useful. If you just take him with you while you do all the stuff around Nuka World, like clear out all um, the different parks and do all that stuff, he'll by the time you're done that, you should have him maxed out affinity. Um, he does have a bug though, which is really annoying, where if you do his affinity and his you miss his talk, like when he goes to talk to you, sometimes that can happen and he'll miss it. If you miss that, he will bug out and then not have the conversation with you. And then if you're playing on console, it's a real pain to get that fixed, because what you have to do is like you have to do a bunch of things that he doesn't like to get his affinity low, and then you can do it more to you can get his affinity back up to then get it to show up again. His perk, though, is awesome. It's called Lessons in Blood, and it gives you a permanent 5% increase to XP per kill and a permanent 10 damage resistance, increase to damage resistance. So 5% increase per kill is stupid good. So, like, definitely pick that up. I usually do Nuka World on non-survival runs. I do Nuka World early. I pretty much rush there almost, I don't want to say right away, but pretty close to right away. On survival, I do it late, but it's still worth it. Um, and he's a solid companion to have around. He does really good damage. And he's just, if you're siding with the Raiders, he's awesome. If you're not siding with the Raiders, you won't really like him much, but it's still worth it to use him to clear out the areas and just get his perk, because his perk is awesome. So again, if you're siding with the Raiders, I would say he's probably A tier. If you're not siding with the Raiders, he's probably closer to B or C tier, maybe even D tier. I'm gonna put him in B tier, in the high end of B tier, because his perk is awesome. He also, if you can sell things to him. He has a pretty good supply of what is it, the 7.62 ammo that you need for the Hanley rifle. He carries that. He carries armor pieces for the different Raider gangs. So he's got some cool items to sell. So you can do that, which is nice. And all in, he's a pretty solid character, and a fun character to have around. Again, if you're siding with the Raiders every time, I would say he might even be A tier. But I would say all in, just neutrally, universally, I would say B tier. And finally, we have the companion from Far Harbor, Old Longfellow. Old Longfellow is just like an old fisherman guy. He's kind of fun to have around. He's pretty snarky and he says some funny things. He can be a pain though. He's tied to the Shipbreaker quest, which is notoriously bugged. At least for me, I have very hard time getting that quest to trigger. That being said, here you use him in Far Harbor. Like I'll usually bring Nick with me to Far Harbor, and then I'll take him to meet Dima, and then I'll leave Nick behind for a little bit, pick up Old Longfellow, do all the side quests in Far Harbor with Old Longfellow, and that'll usually get you enough affinity to get his perk. And his perk is decent. It's Hunter's Wisdom, increases damage and energy resistance of all animals against. Well, sorry, Hunter's Wisdom decreases damage and energy resistance of all animals and sea creatures by 25%. So it's a 25% decrease in damage and energy resistance to basically all the animals in the game, all the animals and creatures in the game. So basically, it means you do more damage against like animals and sea creatures, which is great because you're going to be fighting a ton of them in Far Harbor, and you fight them in general. Like Mirelurks are everywhere. Um, in Far Harbor, you're going to run into gulpers a lot. You're going to run into anglers a lot. That all qualifies. So that's pretty good. He's nice to have around. I do like his settlement too. He gives you his cabin, Longfellow's cabin, which is a pretty cool settlement. And as far as a companion go, he's great. He's another rifleman. He uses the lever action rifle, which is good. He's a nice character to have around in Far Harbor. I don't really use him much outside of Far Harbor, and I use him like I said. I'll grab him after I meet Dima with Nick, and then I'll grab him. I'll do all the side quests in Far Harbor, get his perk, and then I'll switch back to Nick to finish up Far Harbor. So he's fun. I'm also going to put him in B tier. I don't think he's quite as good as Gage. Gage's perk with the XP boost is a little bit better, in my opinion, than the damage resistance decrease. Still pretty solid, and he's a pretty good character to have around. But yeah, I'm going to put him in B tier. All right, so that is my list. There it is. It's every companion in Fallout, Fallout 2, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 4, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout New Vegas DLC. So that's everybody here. Yeah, let me know what you think of the list, and let me know how you would have done differently, and if you think what you think of my favorite companion, Nick Valentine. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this one, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching.